Good evening and welcome to Lime Rock Park for round 3 of the Next Gen Racing iRacing League Season 20 featuring the legends of iRacing. Lime Rock Park tonight in Northeast America, the state of Connecticut, only 100 miles north of New York City, 150 miles west of Boston City. Synonymous, this track is with entry-level professional racing in America, particularly the Skip Barber Open Wheel Series, which is your start for your road to Indy. It's a free track on iRacing, not very long at all, just 2.3 kilometers in length, and it's a very, very short track indeed, only featuring 7 turns, 6 to the right and only 1 to the left, so it's nearly an oval. It's a bit like the Sakir Grand Prix, I guess, but the small American version featuring very legendary Legends cars. So tonight it's all about the Next Gen Racing Series, and 2 rounds in so far, so we'll go through the roster before we head into the standings for the series. So we started off 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch Indy Circuit in Kent in the United Kingdom. And then 1 week later, we were at Donington Park National Circuit for last week's event, which was a thrilling encounter. All 3 races very exciting to watch, especially race 3. Lime Rock Park follows today, this week, and then next week we're heading back to the UK for the Alton Park Island layout in Cheshire. And then round 5 down to Northamptonshire in Towcester for round 5 at Silverstone National Circuit. So you can see this series is following very much the British touring car layout of circuits, but that is until we hit round 6, Snetterton, but the 200 layout. The layout that's used in the British touring cars in the TOCA series is the 300 layout, but the 200 layout is a bit of a classic layout to Snetterton with a slight altercation. Very much just the outer layout of Snetterton, that's the best way to describe it. Round 7, Daytona in America, Florida, but not the road course that we know of in the 24-hour series, the bike course, which is a little bit snaky, I guess. And by that I mean it's a little bit surprising. The layout takes you back a bit, but it's a very good layout. Very much looking forward to seeing these legends on that banking on that track. And then round 8, something slightly different, a different location. We head over to Australia for the what is now non-existent track of Oran Park, a track that has been demolished since its existence, but its legacy lives on iRacing. That'll be round 8 of the championship. Round 9, which has been very popular this week due to the NASCAR Dirt Edition that has come back for the first time in something like 40-60 years, something like that. The Bristol Motor Speedway, but will be featuring on the oval layout. And then round 10, we do head to the dirt tracks. It's the Linear Circuit for round 10, the finale. So there's a good range of iRacing mediums in this championship. 3 of the 4 mediums of iRacing you can take on. The only one we're missing is Rallycross, of course. But without further ado, introduce the layout for each of the races throughout this season. Practice is on right now, and in 5 minutes time we'll go into qualifying. And the information on the right there is slightly incorrect, so I'll explain the corrections on it. 15-minute sprint race will follow qualifying, and then race 2 will be a reverse of the top 10 and a 15-minute race. And race 3, you guessed it, is another 15-minute race, but instead of a reverse top 10, it is a full reverse grid. And with there being 19 drivers on the grid today right now, it'll be a reverse of the 19 cars on the track. So that is the roster for this season, and if you do want to get involved in this series, do contact Next Gen Racing. You can find the group in the description of all these videos, or type Next Gen Racing, as it's spelled on the top left there, into Facebook, and you'll find the group and the page. You need to get in touch with Jamie Dory for the Wednesday night Legends series that we're watching today, and Next Gen are also hosting a Friday night GTE series, hosted by Matt Emmons. So there we go, we can see cars again. But I'm going to have to disturb you to show you the championship standings coming into round 3 of the championship here. Mikey Doble led after round 1. He still leads after round 2 after Not quite as good a result as he had at Brands Hatch at round 1, but round 2 was still pretty good for him. A 2nd place in race 1 for Mikey, 5th place in race 2 with the reverse grids to contend with, and 8th in race 3. Still a good result of the night to still be 10 points ahead of Bobby Thompson. Yes, the Bobby Thompson of the British Touring Car Series in 2nd place. Blisteringly quick all night, but a little mistake in race 1 cost him a lot of positions. His fight back to 9th was heroic, however, but he more than made up for it by finishing 1st in race 2 and coming through the field in race 3 in brilliant fashion, 3rd place in race 2. Ollie Peters takes 3rd place in the championship, quite a way back from Bobby Thompson, 15 points, and 25 points back from Mikey Doble, but Ollie has got himself into the top 3 at this early part of the season, and I'm sure he's looking to continue that great run of form. The driver that took everyone's eye last week was down in 8th place there in the championship, but it is Chaz Cleland. 3 top 3 finishes at Donington Park. He is surely one to look out for tonight. He finished 1st in race 1, 3rd in race 2, and 2nd in race 3. So there we go. And a little sit wrap on practice at the moment as we're about to descend into qualifying. Mikey Doble, top of the standings, rather unsurprisingly. So let's just get a look at the Ivy Avenue machine there going around Big Bend right now. And we'll get a tour of the track as soon as we move on into qualifying. Jonathan Gibbs in 2nd place at the moment in practice here. Haven't seen much of Jonathan this season. He has been appearing in the top 10 here and there throughout the season, and he was contending in the top 5 last week, I believe. But 2nd here in practice, a good, promising showing so far from Gibbs as he spins going into the final corner. We'll move on quickly. Dan Holland, driver who's been thereabouts this season, in 3rd place at the moment. 3rd in the championship at the moment. Ollie Peters in 5th place, just behind Stephen Daly in 4th, who's in the pits at the moment. BTCC former driver Dave Newsham there in 7th place. A good showing from him in practice so far. Hasn't really hit the heights yet this season, but I'm sure we've got more to see from Newsham as he's in the top half of the standings right here, right now. Bobby Thompson is in the server. You probably can't see his name on the standings because he hasn't set a time. He is out on the track though. He's joined rather late. Busy man is Bobby, but he is in the server and we're very much looking forward to seeing what he can do tonight. Of the NXTGEN residents, I'm sure the hosts should get a mention. Jamie Dorian, I can't believe that picture's turned up. We'll get rid of that. He likes to call himself the albino gorilla for some reason, does Jamie Dory, but he's our host of this series. The number 14 man in 13th place. And of course another NXTGEN representative, number 36 machine of Lee Horn there in 10th place at the moment. Lee has been rather impressive in the racing this season, getting plenty of top 10 finishes. Has had a little bit of bad luck in the odd race, but has been very, very much there and thereabouts, contended with the big guns. So we're going into qualifying very shortly. Mikey Doble, quickest in practice, rather unsurprisingly, but let's see what he can do in qualifying. As the session moves on with the blinking of the lights there, the progression of the time of day as we have in sim racing. And the drivers will head out on the track. So there we go. Drivers out there right now. Taking a look at Colin Martin there. I think he's the first out on the track, with Dave Newsham behind him. So the thing is with these Legends cars, I'm not sure how dependent they are on draft. They're very, very small cars, and when it comes to aerodynamics, not much thought really goes into them. It's more about the traditional look of these cars. First built in the 30s, and on iRacing, this is one of the first cars you'll ever drive in the oval categories on iRacing, and this is probably one of the first tracks you'll ever drive on iRacing in the road series, as both are free tracks. Both are tracks available to the rookies in the rookie series, particularly the Legends and the Mazda MX-5. So it's quite the combo for tonight. So across the line comes Colin Martin. We are going to get a tour of the lap from Mikey Doble as he's coming around the back of the circuit over the huge crest at Lime Rock Park that really takes people by surprise. in their introduction to iRacing. It definitely took mine by surprise, trying to take an IndyCar around here my first time on in iRacing. Didn't go well. Right, do excuse me for going a bit quiet there. I thought something went wrong with the broadcast, but it hasn't. It's just my phone playing up. To apologise for that. So we will go on board with Mikey Doble, but I just had a brief panic there. So we'll go on board now. The onboard camera. As we go with Mikey Doble on a lap of Lime Rock Park. So around the final corner, the diving turn, probably because it descends down a steep hill along the long Sam Posey Straight to start another lap here at Lime Rock Park. Across the line now, down the start-finish straight, heading in towards the Big Bend, a long right-hander. Nice early entrance into that corner, taking it out wide and then back in for the second apex of the long right-hander into the only left-hander of the circuit that's named, the S's. Not sure why it's called the S's, because it's just one big left turn. Into the right-hander. And now into the second big bend, which is not a very big bend. And up towards the uphill. Yes, that is what the corner's called, the uphill. As it now goes uphill, over the crest. Over the grass just a little bit there. The back straight here into West Bend. Catching up with the Mystery Machine in front of Jeff Perkins is Mikey Doble. Down the hill towards the diving turn for the final corner of the circuit. A very short lap here at Lime Rock Park. And that might still be a very good lap with Mikey Doble with a little bit of slipstream ahead, which, as I mentioned earlier, doesn't give you too much help, but can probably still give you something. But Mikey, not top of the standings at the moment. Doble's only fourth at the moment. It is Stephen Daly in the pits at the moment, who is top of the pops right now. Dan Holland in second place in the pits at the moment, just getting refueled and ready to go again. Jonathan Gibbs, who was second in practice, is third at the moment. Bobby Thompson, who didn't get much practice, doesn't need it. He's only in fifth place at the moment. Look at the times, they're so close between the top five. It was less than a tenth, but Jonathan Gibbs has just gone top of the standings, taking a 58.3. Very impressive showing from Jonathan today in the number one machine. But look at these standings, only less than half a second between the top eight. The last of the top eight taken by William Fall in the Crest Autosport machine there, waving the flag for my organisation. Who else have we got out there? Dave Newsham in sixth place at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, hasn't really hit the heights so far this season, but sixth place at the moment, and look, not too far off the leader. This is looking greater and greater by the week for Dave Newsham, as Bobby Thompson, who's coming out of the pits to do another lap, goes top of the standings with a 58.306. And Bobby Thompson out for another lap, following another Ivy Avenue machine, the number 9 of Dan Holland. Two working together, push each other on. Ollie Peters comes across the line. The man who's third in the championship is only 13th in the standings at the moment. Lee Horn, 11th at the moment. A lot of shuffling going on in the standings. Colin Martin has got himself into 7th place. He's been rather impressive this season, has Martin. Who else have we got out there to keep an eye on? Stephen Daly has gone off the track here. Oh, and he's come out in front of the traffic. Just got to be real careful of that. I think he's trying to establish somewhere on the track where he can get a bit of a draft and follow someone. But third place at the moment for Daly. Jamie Dory, the host of our series here, has swiped 8th away from William Foyle. Jamie has been rather impressive as well this season, with plenty of contentions in the top 10 and a brief appearance back in the top 5, particularly at Donington Park last week. William Ford taking a bit of a spin back there. Let's see how Bobby Thompson is getting on. I mean, he's still out there trying to get better times. Towing along Dan Holland behind him still. Jonathan Gibbs has come across the line to start a new lap. As Jamie Dory, Matt Allen goes into 9th place. I've just noticed there, 4/10 off top spot. And look at that, all but one under a second from the top time. As you can tell already, without me telling you, it's such a simple circuit. Long sweeping corners, and some of them in these cars you probably don't even need to slow down that much, particularly the uphill corner and the back of the circuit. Jonathan Gibbs, what can he do at the end of this lap? Comes around the final corner, screaming through the corner in such a small and powerful car. Down the start-finish straight. 55 thousandths off top spot. He doesn't go quicker, it's in fact half a second slower. Let's see if Jonathan Gibbs can do anything else, but it is Mikey Doble who's just come across the line to complete his fastest lap of the session, only 15 thousandths of a second behind his teammate Bobby Thompson and his championship rival. It's a 58.322 for Mikey Doble, the championship leader, to put himself provisional front row at the moment. Impressive stuff from Doble. Daly is in the pits with 2 minutes to go. He gets back out rather quickly. Let's see if he has enough time to put in an extreme lap. He might be able... Oh no, he stops just after the pits, so that will probably be it for Daly. He seems happy with 4th, or is he? I have to get in the mind of him. Gibbs in 3rd place at the moment, trying desperately to get back onto the front row of the grid, taken by the synonymous top 2 at the moment, Thompson and Doble. Can Gibbs put a disturbance in there? Across the line he goes. And I think he's starting... No, he's not. It wasn't too far off his time, only 400ths behind his personal best. But 3rd still at the moment for Gibbs. As there's a bit of drama up ahead of him, that might disturb him. Doble is still going behind him, as you can see there in the black and green machine. Thompson's still out there as well, so plenty to play for. We cannot forget about below 3rd place as well in Holland and Newsham. Oh, Thompson went very wide there. I'm not sure if it gave him a 1x. A 1x is when you run off track, a bit like Lewis Hamilton did at Bahrain the other day, but that's definitely an off track. And that'll definitely invalidate his lap. Bobby Thompson's qualifying session is over. But Mikey Doble still carrying on, as is Jonathan Gibbs. Around the final corner, the pair of them go. They'll get one more lap, indefinitely. As Doble peels off, I just noticed, so that'll be it for him. But Gibbs comes across the line, and it is not an improvement. But it's so close between the top 3, 55 thousandths of a second, it really isn't much. Dan Holland comes across the line. Slower, 2/10 slower. And a lot of drivers peeling off into the pits now. Ollie Peters, 7th at the moment. He's 3rd in the championship, but 7th in the standings right now. He'll hope for a little bit better, but he has been one of the drivers to make progress during the races. Comes around the final corner. Up towards the finish line he goes. Let's see if Ollie improves his position. 3/10 down. Doesn't improve. In fact, he's not far off at all. 300ths of a second off his personal best. But that will be it for Ollie Peters. Dan Holland is still out there, coming towards the final corner now. He has got, I think that's Gavin Allen in front of him, towing him along. And there's the Oreo machine of Matthew Addy up there. Let's see if he gets higher than 18th on this lap. Across the line he goes. Don't think he has. Dan Holland. Oh yes, Matthew Addy goes up to 14th place. Brilliant final lap from him. Dan Holland stays in 5th place. And the 99 machine there, you saw peel off then. Gavin Allen 15th. But Matthew Addy with a brilliant final lap. But that is qualifying over. What a fantastic session that was. Plenty of drivers swapping places and such close times, and the qualifying sessions will display very, very shortly. But we're going to head into race 1 right now. 19 drivers on the grid today, compared to last week's 23, I think we had. So there we go. This will be the grid for today's race 1. Bobby Thompson, pole position, as usual. Mikey Doble in 2nd place. Jonathan Gibbs in 3rd with Stephen Daly in 4th place. Dan Holland in 5th place with Dave Newsham lining up in 6th position. 7th, Ollie Peters with Colin Martin in 8th. Jamie Dory 9th, Matt Allen 10th. 11th, William Fall. Alongside him is Lee Horn. And the rest follows as it is. So here we go. We're about to get underway for race 1 of the night. Eyes on Bobby Thompson at the front. Line up on the grid beside him, Mikey Doble, championship leader, 2nd on the grid. A good start here will help him. There's been intense battling between the two drivers for much of this season so far, and it's not going to end yet. It's going to keep going tonight and for the rest of the season, I'm sure. So drivers are lined up on the grid, lights appeared, and we're about to go racing here at Lime Rock Park for round 3 of the Next Gen Racing iRacing Series. Green, 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 and away we go. It's slightly better start from Doble. He's alongside Bobby Thompson as they head towards turn 1 here at Lime Rock Park. All the Ivy Avenue machines at the front here. Into turn 1 we go. Bobby Thompson leads on the inside, going around Big Bend. Doble is behind him. And back here we're looking at Lee Horn in 11th place here, side by side with Michael Seal, who was pole sitter at Brands Hatch 2 weeks ago for one of the races. But at the front here, not much has changed. There's a swap of positions between Daly and Holland. Holland has got himself into 4th place. Look at all them Ivy Avenue machines at the front here. And look at that, Dan Holland steps out to get out of the slipstream from Jonathan Gibbs. Through the back bend we go. Down, diving turn, and around the final corner. Not much change here. It's one of those, oh look at all them spreading out, and there's a spin back there. I think that was Jeff Perkins, it was. Jeff Perkins spins and into the barrier for the mystery machine of Jeff Perkins there. And look at all these cars just spreading themselves out on the front straight there. William Fall going through in 10th place there. Biggest mover so far. Well, it's a draw between many drivers, but Dan Holland has got himself up 2 places so far to 3rd place. Brilliant start for him. Fall behind Dave Newsham has dropped 3 places so far. And ahead of him is Lee Coast. Jamie Dory. And look at Ollie Peters here right behind Colin Martin. Battling for 6th place here as the top 5 are stretched away ever so slightly here into the West Bend. Dave Newsham still hanging on ahead of William Full here. It's the Crest Autosport machines attacking at the moment as they all go wide. Both of them go wide coming out of the final turn, and look at that, that's allowed Lee Horn to get an opportunity on William Full. There's a crash back there. It was Tom Delaney, I think. Tom Delaney spinning into the barrier, coming out of the final turn there. Just went a bit too wide, couldn't hang on to the car, and spin straight into the Armco there. Once you lose control of these legends, that's it. It's really difficult to get them back. But that'll be Tom Daly not out of the race, but a lot of damage on that car. He'll keep going for now. Back towards the midfield, Dave Newsham losing a little bit of sight from Jamie Dory and Ollie Peters back at the front. Dan Holland gets a very good run coming out of the uphill. A slight switch to the fend from Doble, stays ahead of Holland for now. Daly is right behind as well. Hasn't moved positions yet. And look at that, taking a look to the inside is Holland. They're so close, these cars, they really don't scrub off much speed on this track. So every millimetre counts on this circuit today. And look at that, losing a little bit of momentum. Holland has lost out a little bit to Daly, who's going to find the inside, going into Big Bend 1. Here we go, up the inside. Oh, they come so close. near wheel to wheel, but they give each other room and respect, and they stay side by side, coming out to turn 1, now into turn 2, the S's, but Holland has got himself back in front. And they have lost a little bit of momentum through battling. Doble has just stretched away a little bit. Under less pressure, he's able to gain a little bit on Bobby Thompson ahead of him. But these two continue to stay nose to tail round the back end of the circuit. Uphill here, down towards West Bend. It's going to be very, very tricky for these drivers to get the upper hand on anyone today, particularly in the reverse grid situation. You might see those who end up getting a reverse grid pole in such an advantage to take the win today. Biggest mover of the field so far, Ian Crosby, starting from the back in that very light green machine, almost turquoise, somewhere between green and turquoise, in 14th, up 5 places. Good start for Crosby today. Holland again. Bobby Thompson still leads in the 19 machine, the hint of purple on the bonnet, that's how you know it's him. Green is Doble, blue is Holland, and Daly is red. Thank you to the drivers for giving each other slightly different liveries so I can recognise them all. And not to mention Gibbs over there. I think that's yellow or orange on the bonnet. Couldn't quite tell. But enough about colours, more about the racing. Third place still held by Holland, who's closing in a little bit on Doble in this last lap or so. Down the hill we go. Doble is real close to Bobby Thompson around here. Can he get a good run on Thompson on this back straight to try and make a move going into the big bend? Peeling off to the inside is Bobby Thompson to defend it. Doble tries the outside but switches back to the inside. Lots of weaving for these drivers, and look at Holland trying to get the opportunistic move on them. They stay tight on the inside to defend their positions. Round they go towards the S's. Look at this trail of Ivy Avenue cars. It's a great sales pitch for them to 5 in a row on this track. Oh, and look at this, a good run from Mikey Doble. Let's get on board just to get a view. He's slightly alongside Bobby Thompson. He'll go for the move, and there he goes. Up the inside and through. Not just yet, still alongside Bobby Thompson. In fact, Bobby got a bare exit from the uphill into the West Bend. And look at this, Dan Holland is pushing along Doble. Bobby Thompson goes wide and nearly loses control, but it's still going 3 wide into the final corner here at Lime Rock Park. But they'll start another lap here, and Bobby Thompson is losing control and losing positions. He'll drop to 4th place now, and look at all these drivers on the inside. 3 wide again going into the first corner. Jonathan Gibbs on the inside. Into turn 1 they go, and a lock-up from, I believe that is Daly. 3rd place at the moment, but Holland is up to 2nd. Daly's up to 3rd. Oh, and a spin. Oh, and he collects another car. That is Jonathan Gibbs, who spun it, and it's collected Dave Newsham and Jamie Dory. That really couldn't be helped by Jamie Dory. Now let's see if we can get a replay of that, if my timing screen can catch up on all of this. And look at this, Gibbs on the inside, coming through the corner. Oh, and it was contact, yes. Contact with Bobby Thompson. Now the back end pushed out a little bit into Bobby. They couldn't go side by side through the corner all the way, as there was a little bit of understeer from Gibbs, but his race is over. But these 4 will continue. Bobby Thompson is still in 4th place there. He might have a little bit of damage on that car, but he'll continue nonetheless. And look at that, creeping into the fray. Ollie Peters, 3rd in the championship, is catching right up on this battle for the top 4. We did see brilliant racing from these going into that corner, but sadly, one has bit the dust. And it was Gibbs, who was looking so promising in practice and qualifying and this race. But he'll have an opportunity to go for it again in race 2 and race 3, of course. Doble still leads, getting past Thompson. Saw the demise of Thompson down to 4th place. But Doble's battle is not over yet. He has got to hang on in front of Holland and Daly behind him. Great racing between all of these. When it does hotten up, it gets real exciting. It's just, when are they going to make the move in this game of chess? 15-minute race, and we're only just halfway through. I'm sure we've got plenty more to see from these drivers. On the front straight, excuse me, here. Let's have a look further back. Lee Horn out on his own at the moment in 6th place. William Full up 4 places to 7th place at the moment, battling with Michael Seal here in the Fast R machine. 8th place for him. Gavin Allen, followed by Matt Allen in 10th place. Now this is the battle for reverse grid, so this is real interesting. Matt Allen in 10th at the moment, just ahead of Matthew Addy, who's in the Oreo machine, and a very loose rear end on Matt Allen's car coming out of turn 1, but he hangs on to 10th at the moment. Jamie Dory and Dave Newsham here involved in that incident with Bobby Thompson and Gibbs earlier, trying to catch back up. And look at this, Jamie Dory on the inside, Dave Newsham, clearly a damaged car, and it's clearly affecting the handling, so he'll have to back off a little bit, try and bring it home to score points. But let's get back with the front. Oh, and look at that, off the track slightly is Daly. You could see that Legends car swirling around a little bit on the grass, and he just about kept hold of it. 3rd place at the moment for him as he tries to close back in on Dan Holland ahead of him. Doble, who hasn't won a race yet this season, believe it or not. He's the championship leader, hasn't won a race yet. He's come 2nd place 4 times out of the 3 races we had this season. Is this his time? I don't know. Don't ask the commentator, because it's likely he'll jinx you. But so far so good for Doble. Let's see if anyone else can put a damper on that plan for him. Holland in 2nd, 3 places up. Daly in 3rd place. Thompson. We thought he might have damage on that car, which he probably does, but it's not affecting him at the moment. He's staying well in touch with these top 3 cars, and I'm sure he'll want to get back into another battle, probably. Oh, and look at that, that's Ollie Peters off the track. Ollie Peters has gone off the track from 5th place. And what happened there? Oh, and he slipped this sideways going through the corner and straight into the tyre wall. Literally nothing could be controlled on that car. As soon as it was gone, that's it. Ollie couldn't control it, and that will be it for Ollie. What was looking like a strong 5th place, he's down to 14th. That promotes Lee Horn up to 5th place. One of the biggest movers at the field, up 7 places in 5th at the moment, just ahead of William Full, who's having one of his best outings at the moment here in race 1 at Lime Rock Park. Oh, and look at this. This has split up a little bit. 3rd and 4th are battling on their own now. Bobby Thompson has got himself ahead. Let's see if we can find that move from Bobby Thompson. Oh, and he was almost just let by. But we've got to catch up, because I think we saw... Look at this. Brilliant from Dan Holland up the inside. A good run coming out of the final corner. Doble is on the outside now. Can he get later under braking? Into turn 1 we go. Yes, he finds the inside, and he gets it through and in front. But can Doble get the undercut? No, he can't. It's too long a corner, and Holland was able to keep it on the inside. This is a brilliant race from Holland so far. 4 places past all his competitors to the top spot at the moment. Bobby Thompson back here, still battling with Daly, who's got himself back in front of the BTCC former racer. Oh, and we've got some drama from Dave Newsham here. Damaged car gone off the track. Oh, and he just really can't control that car with all that damage at the moment. I thought it'd be a little bit more dramatic than that, but obviously not. Thompson still trying to make ways towards Daly, who's dropped off from the top 2. It might be a 2-horse race for the top spot now with 3 minutes to go here. Thompson side by side, just got his quarter panel adjacent with the other quarter panel of Daly, but gets him in front. It's quite easy to hide the inside for this corner as Daly looks to the outside, tries an undercut, but will have the outside for the next corner, not able to get up the inside for the S's. Thompson takes 3rd at the moment, unless Daly can do something about it imminently here. But they've got a little bit of catching up to do, more than a second to catch back up with the top 2, and it's looking real difficult to catch up on this track. But Holland is slipping away a little bit from Doble here, not by much granted, but a little bit of a gap here is a big gap, as we saw in the timings in qualifying. But what a race Holland's had so far. From 5th to 1st, fantastic racing from him, staying in front at the moment. Back here, Stephen Daly right on the rear of Bobby Thompson, almost pushing him along. Maybe Daly's thoughts are, you know what, you stay in front, Bobby, we'll try and catch him up this way. They haven't got much time, 2 minutes, probably 2 laps to do it. Doble closing in a little bit through these two corners. Doble, as we mentioned, hasn't won a race yet this season. He's come second place 4 times this season. Can he end it? Can he end it today? It will be 3 rounds in a row. We'll finish second if he stays where he is right now. Through West Bend. What's he going to do? And actually, it was quite a good run through the corner from Holland there, stretching away ever so slightly. Was the number 9 machine. Down the back straight here. And Dan will start what I think will be his final lap. Oh no, it won't. It'll be 2 laps to go. Do excuse me, I thought I read the timing wrong. It will be 2 more laps. Around the S's. Bobby Thompson not catching. If anything, he's losing from these two. Just battling away. This is when you've got them nose to tail like this and they're not quite close enough to make a move. Both driver puts in probably a qualifying formation in themselves to push the car as fast as they can to stay within distance or away from distance from the car behind. Oh, and look at that, Dan Holland has lost it. He hit the bump coming over the crest there and he puts it into the wall. We've got to get another replay of that just to see what happened here there. Just went a little bit too wide and the bump just kicked the car out. Doble takes the lead here at Lime Rock Park. And what a gift Doble has been given here. Oh, and Holland had it in his hands. 1 lap to go here. Can he keep it going? He has just got to keep it on the track here. Facebook binging and bonging, I'll close that. But final lap here. Bit of a distance between all these drivers. Mikey Doble, he's been denied for 2 rounds. I thought he had been denied with Holland overtaking him 1 lap ago from now, but he finally breaks the duck. It's first place for the championship leader. He extends his lead at the top. Mikey Doble wins race 1 here at Lime Rock Park. Bobby Thompson comes through in 2nd place with not much practice at all. Fantastic from him. Daly takes 3rd place. Dan Holland, you have got to feel sorry for him. Just a slight hit of the bump, and Doble's definitely happy about winning his first race of the season there. Donuts on the runoff strip. William Foyle comes through in 5th place there. He managed to get by Lee Horn at some point at the end of the race there, but a fantastic result there for William Foyle. His best of the season. Lee Horn, pretty good from him, 6th place. Gavin Allen in 7th, Matt Allen in 8th, Ian Crosby in 9th, and Jamie Dory recovers to 10th. And that'll be a reverse grid pole for Jamie Dory after the drama we saw him go through earlier. So we'll try and show you the results now. So there we go. So there we go. The results of race 1 here at Lime Rock Park. Mikey Doble finishes top spot, half a second ahead of his championship rival Bobby Thompson. Stephen Daly 3rd, Dan Holland in 4th place, leading, approaching the final lap, but a slight mistake from him costs him many positions. William Foyle in 5th place with Lee Horn in 6th. Gavin Allen followed by Matt Allen, 7th and 8th. Ian Crosby up so many places, 10 places to 9th place in that race. A great performance from him. 10th, Jamie Dory, and as we mentioned, he'll get the reverse grid pole for race 2. Michael Seal in 11th place. Jeff Perkins, we saw, had drama early on in the race, 12th. Dave Newsham involved in an incident involving Jonathan Gibbs and Jamie Dory, finishes 13th. Ollie Peters, who went off with a slight hit at the rear end, 14th for him. Matthew Addy in 15th. Adam Gale in 16th. Tom Delaney in 17th. Colin Martin 18th and 19th. was Jonathan Gibbs, who retired earlier on in the race. That has been race 1 here at Lime Rock Park. Don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly with race 2. Welcome back to Lime Rock Park for the Next Gen Racing iRacing series. Sorry we're away for a little bit longer. There was an issue with the server, but all sorted now, and we're going to go racing shortly. Just let the drivers join the server and we'll be back in action. But a little bit of housekeeping just to pass the time a little bit. Here we are today for the Next Gen Round 3 of Season 20. 20 seasons Next Gen have been hosting sim racing leagues. Next Gen, in fact, have leagues in iRacing, of course. This one hosted on Wednesday night, and there is a GTE series hosted on Fridays. Race Room is on Mondays. I know that because I take part in it. And there's many other series that Next Gen hosts, including Gran Turismo leagues, Assetto Corsa Competizione leagues. What else is there? Should have done my homework. Formula 1 2020 is also on there, but many sims are covered by Next Gen, of course. But tonight, here in the Legends on iRacing, here at Lime Rock Park, northeast Connecticut. And this track, one of the first tracks you will ever drive on iRacing, as it is free. Part of the free content you get with your subscription to iRacing. Synonymous in real life with the Skip Barber Race School for your road to IndyCars, of course. And we'll go through a little bit of housekeeping. So this is the season we are running for the Legends series. We started off 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch Indy. Last week we were at Donington Park National Layout, and this week we're at Lime Rock Park for the first of 4 American venues for this championship. Alton Park will follow next week for round 4, and then in 2 weeks from today will be the Silverstone National Circuit. Very much looking forward to that in these cars. We'll have a week break between rounds 5 and 6, but we'll return for race 6 for the classic Snetterton layout, the 200 layout, which is just the outer loop of Snetterton. Round 7, Daytona, but not the traditional road course that is used in the 24 hours. It is the bike course, which is presumably used for bikes. Round 8, Oran Park, a circuit once existed in Australia, demolished in recent years, but its legacy lives on in iRacing. Similar to Suzuka, where there is a crossover bridge section on the track, but it is quite a small, very fun track. Looking forward to seeing those cars on that track. Round 9 will be the first of 2 oval venues to end the season. Bristol Motor Speedway, which has been very popular this week with the NASCAR Cup Series, taking a return to dirt for the first time, and it was actually a very exciting race. But for these Legends, it will be the normal oval circuit on hard ground that we'll be using for round 9, the penultimate round of the season. And then the final round of the season, we do get dirt oval eventually. It is the Lanier Speed Park to end the season. So 3 mediums of iRacing covered in this series: regular road racing, oval racing, and dirt racing. The only one we're missing is Rallycross, which is a shame. I would have loved to have seen these go around the Barcelona Rallycross circuit, for example, but not to be. Wednesday nights is when these are hosted, every Wednesday apart from between rounds 5 and 6, as we mentioned, hosted by Jamie Dory. If you want to get involved in this series, if you are an avid iRacer and enjoy driving these Legends cars, contact Jamie Dory or go to the group Next Gen Racing. You'll find it on Facebook, and that is where you can get in touch with the admins and take part in these great leagues that Next Gen hosts. The format for these Legends races, or Legends rounds should I say, we started off with qualifying and a 15-minute race, which is just gone, and now we are not going to have qualifying. It will actually be a top 10 reverse of the results from race 1 with a 15-minute sprint race. And then the final race of the day is not a reverse 10, no, it is a full reverse grid. So 19 drivers will be reversed for the formation of the grid for race 3, another 15-minute race. So the race 1 winner, he finally got his win. He's come 2nd place 4 times this season, and a little bit of luck on last but 1 lap. Mikey Doble got himself the race win in race 1 today, and extends his lead at the top of the table, ahead of Bobby Thompson, who finished 2nd. But it'll be Dan Holland who'll have a chip on his shoulder, I would say, for this race. A couple of drivers did. I'll go into the Discord in between races to sort of see their reactions to the races. Dan Holland was not one I heard, but I'm sure he will have a chip on his shoulder as he had the win in his hands. Just one more lap to go and lost it with just staying too wide coming out of the West Bend and went into the wall, finishing 4th in the end, which is still good. Definitely can't say he didn't deserve a good result of that race, because he did get one, just not what he would have wanted. Another driver who will have a bit of a chip on their shoulder for this next race will be Ollie Peters. Was running 5th and was catching up with the top pack, ending his race with a slight step out of the rear end that he caught too quickly, in his words, and spat him off into the tyres. But he'll be back with a bang in this race, I'm sure. 3rd in the championship coming into tonight's round. It'll be interesting to see what that first race would have done to his championship, but there's plenty more races to go tonight. Dave Newsham was looking rather promising in the early part of race 1, but collected by an incident involving Bobby Thompson and Jonathan Gibb, which also collected Jamie Dory, our league host. Made Dave Newsham didn't make his race end, but gave him lots of damage and meant he couldn't really contend for many positions further up. We'll see what Dave can do in this second race. Jonathan Gibbs, who was running towards the front, qualified really well. Race ended with that collision with Bobby Thompson. He'll start from the back and we'll see how many positions he can make through. The biggest mover of race 1 was in fact Ian Crosby, climbing up 10 places to finish in 9th. A rather impressive race from him. Reverse grid, 10th place in the previous race gets you pole position. Jamie Dory will start pole position for this race coming up in half a minute's time. So there'll be plenty of drivers to look out for, particularly the ones that finished up top in that last race. Dan Holland, Doble, Thompson. And of course, Stephen Daly. I couldn't see him in the server, but he is there. I was having my doubts that he hadn't made it into the server in time, but he is here. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 drivers in the server, so we do have everyone for this second race. Great to see. As we progress on to the next part of the race. I didn't even know that was here. Gigantic. Is that? No, there we go. That's at the S's. There is. There's a few little gnomes planted in the ground on the marshal posts at the S's. Didn't know that. But anyway, to more important things. The grid is formed, or forming, as we should say. Jamie Dory on pole. Ian Crosby from the back in race 1. Got himself 7th. Starts 2nd for this race. He's one to look out for, certainly. The two Allens, Matt and Gavin, 3rd and 4th. Lee Horn 5th. William Falls 6th. Dan Holland 7th. Stephen Daly 8th. Mikey Doble in 10th. And Bobby Thompson 9th. But we are about to go here at Lime Rock Park for the second race of the night. The lights are red. On pole position is Jamie Dory. I gotta get rid of that picture of him.
Green,
the lights
green.
are red. Now lights are green. Away we go. Good start from Jamie Dory. Away he goes at the front there. Towards turn 1 he goes. Into turn 1. Now Jamie Dory leads the way. And on the outside there, Matt Allen and Crosby side to side. Crosby's on the inside going into the S's. Through they go. He has got Matt Allen real close next to him, and Allen will hang on to the inside. Will he keep it tight on the corner? Giving him room is Crosby, but through goes Allen and into second place. Oh, and there's a big crash at the back there. That looked like Stephen Daly, I believe. Stephen D. Yes, he is. Oh, we got to go even further back than that. Even further back than that. Oh, in contact with Bobby Thompson. Thompson can't stay out of trouble in this race, and in fact, Ollie Peters got collected. He might have been affected by that. So Stephen Daly's in the pits. Bobby Thompson's at the back here with a lot of damage on his car. He probably won't be able to get much out of this race now. He is going very, very slowly back there, so he'll try everything he can. Ollie Peters has dropped off a little bit from the pack, as has Tom Delaney. Tom Delaney and Peters haven't had good races tonight. Look at all that damage on Tom Delaney's car. But we must resume at the front. Jamie Dory leads the way, a second clear of Matt Allen at the moment. Gavin Allen following his brother behind in third place. Dan Holland already up to fourth place. The man who just missed out on a win in race 1 through a mistake on the penultimate lap. Up to fourth already, up 3 places. He's not got to worry about Bobby Thompson or Stephen Daly. Mikey Doble's only up 3 places so far, but still a good progression for him, the championship leader. And we got to look at this. William Paul and Lee Horn were having a good battle in race 1. They'll continue it here in race 2. One slightly wide goes. Lee Horn hangs onto it. And he's actually got a good run on Gavin Allen here. Wide at the back there. That looks like Michael Seal. Yep, Seal is off. And there's another car off in the distance as well. But let's just get back with this battle up here. And Lee Horn has gone wide. Off the track he goes. And we'll just take a replay, just see if that was himself. Oh, just outbroke himself. A 3 wide situation going into turn 1. And that'll drop him down some positions to 8th. Staying in front of Perkis and Gale at the moment. But this top 10 is consisting of many drivers. We didn't expect to find their way so high up just yet. Dave Newsham coming from 14th, I think it was on the grid. Yes, it was 14th on the grid. He is up many places to 7th so far. Brilliant comeback from him. Trying to catch up with Doble. Dory has lost a bit of time to Allen behind him. Dan Holland up 4 places from 8th on the 7th on the grid to 3rd so far. Daly has resumed the race, I believe. Yes, he has. He has set off and will resume racing to get points, but will still be at the back a lap down. But it's points that matter in this championship. We must go back here as Doble right in the middle of Foyle and Allen. Foyle has found himself in 4th place. This is a brilliant night's racing from William Paul, who's been a bit of a dark horse, to be honest, so far this season. Not really been threatening many of the top guns, but I think he's been having a bit of tutorial from Bobby Thompson behind the scenes, and it's definitely showing. 4th place at the moment for William Paul. Brilliant progression from the race 1 5th that he scored. Dave Newsham here in 7th place. Up 6 places so far. He started 12th place. I said 14th earlier, that was incorrect. Gavin Allen there in 6th place. He's dropped a few places, dropped 2 places, and has lost contact with fellow Allen, Matt Allen, who has caught up to the back of Jamie Dory. We're going to see a pretty good battle between these two, I'm sure. But they have got Dan Holland charging towards them. As I said, he'll have a chip on his shoulder. He'll want to be going for that win. But look at that, Doble is real close to William Paul. He has the inside going into the uphill. William Paul still challenging side by side with him and gets back in front of Doble. Holding up the championship leader at the moment is Foyle, hanging on brilliantly to 4th place at the moment. Dave Newsham has got himself into 6th place past Gavin Allen. And we'll actually get a replay of that. And it was going into the uphill. Just a nice simple move up the inside and through. Gavin Allen didn't challenge too much for that. Oh, and there's swapping going on here. Oh, look at that. On the inside, Matt Allen on Jamie Dory. Dory hangs on for the moment. And look who's caught them up. Dan Holland. Oh, and there was contact on the rear. And look at that. They've both gone off. Both have gone off. In on the straight here. There was a little bit of contact between the two. Dan Holland finding the back of Matt Allen, excuse me, but that has ended their race. We've got to have a look at that. I'd say we need to. So here we go. Yeah, Dan just hooked up the rear of the car, and you know, once these cars get a little bit sideways, you can't control them. And Dan Holland, will his luck end tonight? And Matt Allen a chance at battling for top spot. Bruins there. sure there might be some level of guilt on Holland's minds there, but the top three now consist of Dory, who's 2.2 seconds clear. He must have been relieved to see that in his mirrors, in that his lead is safe at the moment. William Full is in second place, but he's got Mikey Doble right behind him, and look who's behind him. Dave Newsham up 9 places to 4th place at the moment, and he's got the championship leader in his sights. William Full has not been in a position like this yet in this championship. He's got the championship leader behind him who can't find his way past, putting in good paces. William, he might be able to catch up with Jamie Dory. We'll have to find out. Next Gen versus Crest Autosport at the moment for the top 2 spots. Let's see how that progresses. And further back in the pack, Jonathan Gibbs trying to make his comeback from the back of the grid after the timing he had in race 1. Remember everyone, there is a full reverse grid if you finish this race. So that is probably why Stephen Daly, despite the lap 1 shenanigans, has come back out on the track so he can get his reverse grid pole for race 3. Clever thinking from Daly. Jonathan Gibbs up 6 places to 13th at the moment. Another big mover is Adam Gale, who's alongside Ian Crosby, who's on the inside. Oh, a brilliant move around the outside from Adam Gale. Gets himself into 8th, a little bit twitchy on the rear end there, but stays ahead. And that is Dan Holland trying to make his way back behind in 10th place there. But the biggest mover of the field is Dave Newsham at the moment. 4th place, trying to close in on Mikey Doble, who's closing in on William Full. Is another win on the cards for Mikey Doble. He couldn't get a win before tonight's racing. Many second places as he finds the inside of William Full. He takes the wider line, but he'll hold the inside for the next corner. But will Mikey be able to get in front of him? No. William Full hangs on to the inside, knowing he would have the inside for the next corner. Keeps his line, keeps Doble behind. Through they go. And back here, 4-way battle for 11th place. Peters ahead of Gibbs. Seal is behind Gibbs, and behind Seal is Matt Allen, who you can see has dropped 11 places, but that was due to the contact earlier with Dan Holland when they were battling for 2nd place. Back towards the battle for 2nd place. Newsham closing in again on Doble and Foyle. Foyle isn't exactly closing in on Jamie Dory at the front though. The Next Gen League host winning on his home turf. His home turf being the league, not Lime Rock Park. Maybe Thruxton's his home track. Look at that, William Full staying ahead of Doble at the moment. This is the championship leader we're watching here. And his rivals are well down the order. Bobby Thompson down to 17th. There's always been nearly at least one race where Bobby, it just hasn't gone to plan for Bobby. But Doble is Mr. Consistent this season. He's racking up the points, racking up the good results, staying out of trouble. And it could be another podium for him here today. It would be his 5th podium if he hangs on to it. But he's got to contend with Foyle, but also keep guard from Newsham closing in behind. Oh, and there's a good 3-way battle going on here between Dan Holland, who's found his way past Crosby and Gale. Scary moment there. Up to 8th place on his recovery drive. And back here, look at these battling. That is Peters, who's got on the inside of him Jonathan Gibbs into turn 1. And Gibbs is through on Peters. And we'll close in on... Oh, and look at that. And wide went Ian Crosby. Just went a little bit too wide there. Lets through the drivers. So Ian Crosby's great first race. It hasn't quite been the same level of performance in race 2 here for Crosby. But he'll get a decent grid position for race 3 coming up later. Peters right behind Gibbs, who's right behind Gale. This is the battle for 10th. Oh, look at that. Almost pushing each other along through the West Bend there. And let's get back towards the front as William Full has dropped behind Mikey Doble. So let's see if I can catch back up with that to get you aware of how that happened. Oh, and it was A move into turn 1 on the inside of William Full and managed to complete it. It failed last time he tried it. William was able to stay alongside, but Doble gets through. Up 8 places so far for him. Oh, and look at this! Smoke going on in the background there, but I don't think anyone's run off. And Peters is ahead of Gale there. And Gibbs is past Allen into 9th place. Gibbs has gone up 10 places. The biggest mover of the field now ahead of Newsham. And Seal is dropping off. Seal has spun coming out of the Big Bend. Down to 16th he goes. But Doble, oh look at that, he's not messing around here. Him and Fall have closed in towards Jamie Dory in the last few laps. 3 minutes to go. Mikey Doble has a shot at the win here. Again. He has got the Next Gen League host ahead of him. Through the S's. Through back end of the circuit onto the uphill. Mikey Doble trying to get a good run up the hill and over the crest into the West Bend. Doble much sharper on the inside of the corner than Jamie Dory is. Through the final corner he goes now. Can it be a big run coming out of that final corner from Mikey Doble? He finds the inside straight away. Is he able to get it alongside the orange Next Gen machine? He has just about got his bumper alongside the other bumper of Jamie Dory, and later on the brakes, he's got it on the inside. Mikey Doble makes the move for the lead here, and in fact, he's already completed this. Jamie Dory's rear end steps out, and Dory just about hangs onto it. But he'll be under trouble from William Full, but taking the lead and looking like 2 consecutive wins as it stands. Still time to go. Mikey Doble is in the lead of this race. Foyle, what can he do? Catching up ever so slightly to Dory, but he's letting Doble get away. But a top 3 on the cards at the moment for William Full. Dave Newsham's not got much to answer for just yet, but if they start battling, Dave will close up. This is still an ever exciting battle between Matt Allen and Ollie Peters, the battle for 10th. Jamie Dory, oh, and William Full has slipped sideways there. He just about keeps it going, but that'll lose a little bit of time from Jamie Dory ahead of him. And will in fact help Newsham catch up ever so slightly. But it is dispersing a little bit between these as Dory locks up going into turn 1. I think the tyres have degraded quite a bit on these Legends as there's a lot of right-handed turns on this race. Only one corner is a left-hander on this track, which you just saw then, the S's, which is not an S's. But that front left tyre taking a beating on these cars on this track, particularly on this corner as they go up the hill. Battle for 5th position. Gavin Allen just ahead of Lee Horn. We haven't mentioned much of tonight. And in front, Lee Horn is from the Mystery Machine. We all know who that is by now. Jeff Perkis, 7th place, up 5 places. And this is the battle for 5th. Mikey Doble will start his final lap of the race. Can he hang on to it? He's got some buffer ahead of Jamie Dory, who, you've got to say, in that last lap has pushed like crazy to try and stay with Doble, but the championship leader is just so quick. Dory can do everything he can, but let's see what he can do on this final lap. William Full hanging on to 3rd place at the moment ahead of Newsham, a bit of a gap between them of nearly 2 seconds. 5th place still up for grabs for Horn. Gavin Allen hanging on to it at the moment. But this man's done it again. The championship leader, who hadn't won a race coming into tonight's round, has won 2 tonight. Race 2 goes to Mikey Doble. The 22 Ivy Avenue livery comes through to win the race. Jamie Dory comes through 2nd place. William Full with his first podium of the season. Dave Newsham with one of his best results of the season. 4th place for him. He'd be glad His luck has finally changed. Gavin Allen just about stays ahead of Lee Horn in 6th place. And reverse grid. I'm going to try. I think Stephen Daly will get reverse grid as Adam Gale and I think Michael Seal haven't finished the race. So I believe Daly will get the reverse grid. If I'm wrong, I will correct myself later. But we'll have to find out. There we go. That has been the second race of the night, and we're just waiting for the results to come through. But what an exciting race yet again. But there are your results for race 2. Another win tonight for Mikey Doble, further extending his lead at the top of the table. Jamie Dury, the league host, finishes 2nd with William Foyle in 3rd place. 4th goes to Dave Newsham. Gavin Allen in 5th with Lee Horn in 6th. Jeff Perkis in the Mystery Machine comes through in 7th with Dan Holland on his comeback through the field, finishes 8th. Jonathan Gibbs from the back of the grid finishes 9th. 10th to Ollie Peters. Matt Allen in 11th with Colin Martin in 12th. Ian Crosby comes through in 13th, having started 2nd. Matthew Addy in 14th. Bobby Thompson, with drama early on in that race, finishes 15th. Tom Delaney finishes in 16th. Adam Gale 17th. Stephen Daly in 18th. And I believe the non-finisher 19th was Michael Seal. But what a race we had there. And there's still more to come. Race 3 is coming up very, very shortly, ladies and gentlemen, which will be a full reverse grid. Don't go away. We'll be back very, very soon with the Next Gen Racing iRacing League Legend Series. See you in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lime Rock Park in Northeast America, state of Connecticut, for the Next Gen Racing, Power Max Racing, iRacing series featuring the Legends cars. One of the first cars you'll ever drive in oval racing on iRacing, on one of the first tracks you'll ever drive on iRacing, Lime Rock Park. Interesting racing tonight, action-packed, but there's been only one winner in the two races tonight, Mikey Doble. But before we get into the driver briefs and the pre-race grids, etc., we'll go through a little bit of housekeeping still, just to remind you that this is round 3 of the championship. Round 1 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch. Donington Park followed for round 2. Today, Lime Rock Park, but next week we'll be off to Alton Park, the island layout, popular British touring car venue in Cheshire, United Kingdom. And then another popular touring car venue, but also a very popular Formula 1 venue, but it'll be the national layout for round 5 at Silverstone in Northamptonshire. 2 weeks off, or 1 week off, one race week off in between round 5 and round 6 for the Snetterton 200 layout, which is not the traditional Snetterton layout, it is the outer loop of Snetterton. Round 7, Daytona, the bike course, not the road course, so a slightly different layout to what you're probably used to from Daytona. Oran Park, fictional track in Australia, now demolished, and its legacy living on iRacing, is round 8 of the season. And then the final 2 rounds, something different. 2 oval circuits, 1 regular oval and 1 dirt oval. Round 9 is the Bristol Motor Speedway, which has been very popular recently due to NASCAR having its dirt debut, or dirt resumption should we say, in the NASCAR series. That'll be round 9. Round 10, the Lanier Speed Park, which will be the final round of the season. 3 different mediums of iRacing in one season here. The only one that's missing, as we said earlier, is Rallycross. And a lot of drivers out on the circuit, I'm just noticing, so we'll move on very swiftly to that, because a lot of drivers getting there practicing ready for this final race of the night. But we've had 2 races, 2 15-minute races, and this one is another 15-minute race. But as it says up there, reverse top 10, that's incorrect. It's not. It is a full reverse grid. 18 of the 19 drivers that finished in race 2, they'll be reversed to form the grid. So your race winner in the last race, Mikey Doble, who's been the star today, he'll start from 18th. Here we go, drivers out on the circuit at the moment. We're looking at Lee Horn at the moment. We haven't mentioned him much tonight, but he's following his teammate Jamie Dory ahead of him. Top of the standings now, making a statement as we introduce race 3 very shortly. Dave Newsham, top of the pops right now. But drivers to look out for in this next race now. We'll have the grid shortly, a bit later on as the race 3 starts. But Bobby Thompson will be one to look out for in this race. Bobby will start 4th on the grid after the disappointment he had in race 1, being involved in an early incident, dropping him down the order, giving him a lot of damage. And Bobby Thompson's grab on the championship lead will be slightly hampered tonight as he loses a lot of points to Mikey Doble. But there's a race to go still, which might see Doble change of luck. I'm not sure, but we might see Doble come through the field as he has done for much and many of the races this season. I'm trying to write the script at all for this, but you never know what can happen in these cars on a track like this. Dan Holland, you say probably could have, should have, would have, maybe would have won race 1. A slight mistake on the final lap. I know I keep droning on about it, as Jamie Dory takes a spin there right ahead of Holland, who avoids it very well. It was actually this corner coming up right now that Holland took a spin in race 1 on the penultimate lap to surrender the lead to Mikey Doble. But finishing 4th still, good points for Holland. Jamie Dory, who we just mentioned, spinning in the back there, but led for much of race 2, having started on pole position. Lost the lead eventually to Mikey Doble, but 2nd place in the end for Jamie Dory, who will start 17th in this race here. But speaking of Mikey Doble, he takes the top spot on the standings here in practice as Ollie Peters goes for a spin in the back there, and very, very, very impressively Crosby avoided him there. Doble 2 from 2 so far tonight. Can he make it 3? Guess we're going to find out in the next 15 to 17 minutes or so. Be very exciting to watch, to see what unfolds. But there's a lot of drivers starting towards off the front grid. One in particular is Bobby Thompson. And Bobby has won 3 races already this season. Who can make it number 4? Right here, right now. Sure, we'll find out. William Fall has had a pretty impressive night. A little bit of tuition from Bobby Thompson in between rounds 2 and 3. He's got himself a 5th place and a 3rd place tonight. Very impressive from the Crest Autosport driver here today, who's his teammate Ollie Peters, who was 3rd in the championship coming tonight. Hasn't had the best of nights for himself, but we'll see what he can do in race 3. Same with much of these drivers. We saw Dave Newsham have his best race of the season in race 2, finishing 4th. But he'll start as far back as 15th in this next race. Let's see if he can come through the pack on this track that's actually very difficult to overtake on. But we have seen a lot of 3 wide situations on the front straight. And we might see a few more of them in this race 3, particularly in the early stages. Do not take your eyes off these opening few laps here. It is going to be a bit emphatic. So, without further ado, we have the grid for race 3 of the night. Well, it says Jamie Dory, but that's not right. We'll just refresh that. That's more like it. Stephen Daly will start on pole position with Tom Delaney in 2nd, Bobby Thompson 3rd, Matthew Addy 4th, Ian Crosby 5th, Colin Martin 6th, Matt Allen 7th, Ollie Peters 8th, Jonathan Gibbs 9th, Dan Holland 10th, Jeff Perkis 11th, Lee Horn 12th, 13th Gavin Allen, Dave Newsham in 14th, William Fall 15th, Jamie Dory 16th, Mikey Doble in 17th. And we're about to go racing. Away we go, just in the neck of time. We are away, and there's someone stuck on the start line there. I think that might have been Bobby Thompson. It was. Bobby Thompson has not had a good start to this race, and into turn 1 we go. Stephen Daly leads going into turn 1. Tom Delaney is 2nd there. And through they go. And we've got to find out what happened to Bobby Thompson eventually, but we've got to keep an eye on the racing here. Through they go. And look at this side by side between Colin Martin. Through goes Ian Crosby and Dan Holland. Oh, look at all these cars so close to one another back there towards the back of the pack. Bobby Thompson is in amongst them. This is Ollie Peters in 10th place. Further up, we've got Dan Holland trying to make moves. The guy who could have won race 1. Into the West Bend, East or West Bend, I can't remember now. Down into the final corner. It was the West Bend. Final corner we go, end of lap 1, and look at this, Matthew Addy side by side with Matt Allen, but leader of lap 1 is Stephen Daly, who is running in the top 4 and 5 for much of race 1. Tom Delaney in 2nd place, who has had 0 luck tonight. 2nd at the moment is good for him. Up 4 places, Matt Allen in 3rd place, brilliant start to the race from him. Addy is in 4th place in that Oreo machine. He's got Ian Crosby right behind him, who didn't have such a good 2nd race. He is really getting stuck in this race at the moment. Dan Holland in 6th. But what happened to Bobby Thompson at the start of that race? Just didn't move off the start. No, and he got collected by Ian Crosby. He must have just not seen the lights, I'm not entirely sure. But he's got to charge back through the field now, and that must have been something to behold for Mikey Doble, who is only in 14th at the moment. As he's running behind William Foyle, and he saw plenty of the rear end of William Foyle in race 2. And he's got Jamie Dory behind him, but working on catching up and getting through the field as this 15-minute race progresses. That is Peters on the inside of Martin. Gibbs in front of them, and Peters, has he found the position ahead of Colin Martin? No, he hasn't. But a good run around the outside here might get Peters the inside for Big Bend number 2. Yes, it does. Into 8th place he goes. Biggest mover so far. Up 5 places is Dan Holland to 5th place, as he alongside another driver of Matthew Addy. He's through. That's 6th place is gained now for Dan Holland. Up to 4th place. Brilliant start to the race for Dan Holland. But at the front, it's still Daly leading the way. Delaney, 2nd place with Matt Allen, who's had a pretty impressive night in 3rd place. Holland will now try and break away from the Oreo car. Oh no, and back spinning in the background, that's Ian Crosby. Crosby has spun off into the barrier, and I think there might have been contact between him and Gibbs. Oh no, it was just a loose rear end. I do apologise, Jonathan Gibbs. It wasn't your fault. It was a loose rear end from Crosby as he goes into the pits now. He spun off in the final corner there. What was looking like a promising start to this race. Race over pretty much for him. Ollie Peters up to 7th place here. And look at this, Gibbs closing in on Matthew Addy. A brilliant run coming out of Big Bend there. Going into the uphill. Oh, couldn't quite find the inside as shutting the door goes Matthew Addy. Through West Bend, Peters following close behind Gibbs, who closed in as Gibbs had to get back behind Addy there. A little bit of a sit rep on Bobby Thompson. I'm sure you're probably wondering 10th place at the moment. And we got Mikey Doble, who's found his way past William Foyle and Jamie Dory by some margin now, and will close in towards that top 10. He's got Gavin Allen ahead of him. Oh, and wide there, Addy coming out of turn 1. Gibbs will close in. Gibbs, we saw earlier, had pace in practice and qualifying, but has not quite had the luck in the races. Is this his redemption here in race 3? We'll find out. Delaney has been caught by Matthew Allen. Or Matt Allen, should I say. But breaking away is Stephen Daly, who had pace in race 1. I think he finished 3rd. Correct me if I'm wrong. But on the inside, Matt Allen on Tom Delaney, just about hangs on to that car going around the final corner. The back end just drifting onto the curb. But Daly got a good exit from that corner. Dave Newsham hasn't had a good start to this race, sadly for him. 16th for him. We thought he has got damage on the front right there. There just hasn't been many races where Newsham has come away without getting involved in someone else's incident. Usually it hasn't been his fault either. Just bad luck on Newsham's side this season so far. Big battle this for 6th place, I believe it is. 5th place actually. Matthew Addy at the front of this pack in the Oreo machine. He's got Ollie Peters and Jonathan Gibbs right behind him. Look how close Ollie Peters is getting to Gibbs. Delaney runs a little bit wide, loses shape with the car, he keeps it going, but Gibbs will find the inside going into the West Bend. Oh, and there's contact between the two of them. Gibbs is able to keep it going, but AD should not have closed the door there. Real close encounter between them two as Ollie Peters has lost a little bit of the rear end. It's 3 wide going down this back straight here. Down towards turn 1 we go. That is Addy on the outside of Gibbs. Martin defends the inside. Into turn 1 they go. Holding inside is Gibbs. He'll definitely get the position ahead of Addy. Addy's in trouble from Martin and Thompson now, who joins the fray. Thompson up the inside of Martin. Brilliant move from Thompson, but can Martin hang on to it? Going through the next corner now. 2 wide and 2 wide. Addy exits the corner ahead of Thompson. Thompson is now ahead of Martin. Peters is right behind Martin. And look who else has joined. It's Mikey Doble and Jeff Perkis in the mystery machine. They have joined the battle. Oh, look at that! That's Matthew Addy off the track, and Jeff Perkins just about avoids it. Let's find out what happened to Matthew Addy there. Oh my word! I just can't keep up with the drama. Oh, and I think there might have been another spin further on. Let's catch back up. Let's see what's happened there. Bobby Thompson, something did happen to him. One contact from Colin Martin. And into the tyres. Bobby Thompson's night just goes from bad to worse. And he's way down the order now. A very dramatic lap there in race 3 of the Legends here. Jeff Perkis has got himself into 8th place ahead of Colin Martin here, who just about got away with it with that contact with Thompson. Gibbs has got away with it as well. He might have a little bit of wheel damage on the car, a little bit of an alignment issue, but he holds 5th place at the moment, with Peters dropping back a little bit in 6th. Up 10 places, by the way. Biggest mover, rather unsurprisingly, championship leader Mikey Doble. And this could turn into an even bigger battle for 6th place. Ollie Peters heads it with Mikey Doble charging behind him. Doble does not go for the move into turn 1. Ollie Peters hangs on to it. And we're well and truly over halfway in this race. Not much to go for these drivers. Doble will want as many positions as possible. He's got most of his championship rivals out of the way. In fact, the championship rival was Bobby Thompson. The other coming into tonight was the man in front of him, Ollie Peters, who hasn't had such a good night. Doble doesn't necessarily need to worry about picking many more positions up. He's definitely done what he can championship-wise, as Peters definitely gives him room here. Hangs onto it, but Doble hanging on to the inside at the moment. Inside for West Bend. Both giving each other racing room is great to see. Down into the final corner, Doble tucks back in onto the racing line as Jeff Perkis now has the inside of Ollie Peters, coming onto the start finish straight. Tucks back behind. Moving out into the inside is Colin Martin. Hasn't quite got the inside. Will he have the later braking on Jeff Perkis? No, he doesn't. Tucks back in to stay 9th place at the moment. Oh, and sideways from Ollie Peters, just hanging onto that car, and Jeff Perkis had to avoid him ever so slightly, but slipping away a little bit is Doble there. These guys will want to latch onto the back of Doble to try and catch up with the guys in front, but they'll also be equally worried about the guys behind them. Colin Martin here. Now what can he do? He's been looking to get by Perkis for a lap or so now, looking left and right quite a few times. Cannot quite find the opportunity as he hits the grass. Sideways goes the Legends car, but he hangs on to it. Into the final corner, crocodile of cars, as Gavin Allen, Jamie Dury and William Foyle are joining in with the drama. Defending the inside from Jamie Dury here is Gavin Allen. Jamie Dury might be able to find the inside going into turn 1. Yes, he does. Gavin Allen gives room. Dury has not completed the move yet, though. I'm sure Allen might be able to hang on to the inside for the next corner. Yes, he does. Dury has to tuck back in behind. Stephen Daly continues to lead this race by 4 seconds clear of Tom Delaney. All he needs to do is just keep it on the black stuff, keep it away from the green stuff, and bring it home over the next 4.5 minutes. Tom Delaney, brilliant race for him. So far, his best result. Can he hang on to it? He has got the charging Matt Allen and Dan Holland closing in on him. Jonathan Gibbs is catching up as well, as he's broken away from the battle behind. Now it's dispersed a little bit between Colin Martin and Jamie Dury. Dury ahead of Foyle and Allen. Now they were battling with Allen on that previous lap, and that might have slowed each other down just a little bit. You've got to keep momentum on this track, as there's not that much of a drop in speed for each corner. Perkis likes to call himself Scooby G because he likes Subarus, not because he likes Scooby-Doo. And I think the G is his name. Back at the front. Matt Allen real close to Tom Delaney now. Tom Delaney with the same livery as Colin Martin, you'll notice. Tom Delaney's having a real good race here. He needs to maintain good composure. Up the inside goes Holland on Allen, but couldn't keep it. Tucks back in behind. Daly goes to defend. 3.5 minutes to go for him to hang on to second place. Can he do it? He guards the inside. Tight on that inside. He'll have to slow down a lot more to get through this corner. And look at that, the undercut from the number 9 machine of Dan Holland. But he'll have the outside for the next corner. He tried to close off from Matt Allen, who hangs on to the inside. Round the S's. They'll stay side by side for the next corner. Look how much Tom Delaney has stretched away already as these two are battling. Still side by side. Coming up towards the uphill now. Surely advantage is in Dan Holland's hands as he has the inside for a very tricky corner here. Oh, and the lock-up, and they can't make contact. Dan Holland spins. Oh, and he hasn't collected any other car, but you've got to say Matt Allen definitely got away with that. But Dan Holland, another spin, whilst in a very, very good track position. Down to 11th he goes, and he lost that himself, almost collected Allen. There won't be much damage on that car, but there is a big loss of positions. Allen got away with that, you have got to say. Luck is on his side today, not Holland's. So everyone that's ahead of Holland now has promoted a position. Doble's up 12 places. It's unsurprising, but admirable at the same time from him. Up back into the top 5. I mean, he's 7 seconds behind the leader. Can he catch that in 2 minutes? Probably not. I'm sure he gave it a go, as he's now on the inside of Gibbs. Now he's making a move for 4th place. And that'll be 13 places gained if he completes the move. Yes, he does. Gibbs tucks in behind Doble to resume in 5th place. Tom Delaney in 2nd place at the moment. Really unimpressive from him so far, but he's got Matt Allen closing in on him again. Just over a minute to go in this race. There'll be 2 laps to go as Steve Allen starts what will presumably be the penultimate lap of the race. Got Jeff Perkins here in 8th place. Jamie Dory in 9th place, who has come up from 17th on the grid. Now he has got William Fall, who's got Dan Holland, who was charging forward a couple of moments ago. Now finds himself outside the top 10. See if he can make up a few more places before the race ends. Jeff Perkins a little bit sideways as Jamie Dory now has the opportunity to get alongside. Jeff Perkins goes to defend the inside, but Jamie Dory much later on the brakes and will take the outside line round Jeff Perkins. And look at that, William Fall trying the undercut on Jeff Perkins. Will have the inside for West Bend. Perkins has lost 2 places in a matter of 2 corners just by the rear end losing itself just a little bit. That's all it takes on this track in this car. Daly starts his final lap here at Lime Rock Park. Tom Delaney holds 2nd place at the moment from Matt Allen, who has a good run on the outside here. Oh, and a little bit of a twitch on the rear end from Tom Delaney as the tyres have degraded a huge amount now. He just about gets back in front of Matt Allen. Mikey Doble is in 4th place, and there's a spin back there for someone. No, there wasn't. It was just a car slipping sideways. Doble's closing in on this battle for 2nd place, but there's not many more corners to do it. Not many more corners for Tom Delaney to defend 2nd place and what will be his best result of the season. Over the uphill he goes. He guards the inside going into the West Bend. Oh, and look at that, round the outside goes Matt Allen, and he might have got it. We've got to switch to Stephen Daly, but yes, in front goes Allen, and up the inside is Mikey Doble. But the winner of the race, Stephen Daly, wins his 1st race of the season. 2nd place, oh, and there's a spin. That's Tom Delaney, but 2nd place is Matt Allen, and Mikey Doble gets another podium tonight. But Tom Delaney on the final corner, he had lost 2nd already, and just pushing a little bit too hard has lost a chance at a podium. Oh no. Oh, you have got to feel sorry for him. He drove so well in that race. He'll be gutted, absolutely gutted to that, as he says hello to his teammate Colin Martin at the end. But your race winner, Stephen Daly, you didn't have much to worry about in that race, you've got to say, but That's how you win races, staying out of trouble. Mikey Doble finished third there. He'll be our championship leader after tonight by some margin. 3 podium places today. He'll probably be a bit annoyed he couldn't get 3 wins, but 3 podiums is still pretty impressive. Matt Allen drove a good night tonight. 2nd place for him, taking Tom Delaney round the outside. But what a night of racing we had there, and we'll give you the classifier results now as we end the night here at Lime Rock Park. Stephen Daly wins. Matt Allen takes 2nd place. Mikey Doble with his 3rd podium of the night, just 2/10 ahead of Jonathan Gibbs, finishing 4th. Ollie Peters recovers well throughout the night. He finishes 5th in that race. Jamie Dory up from 17th to 6th in that race. Brilliant comeback from him, as did William Foyle, coming from 15th to finish 7th. Colin Martin finishes 8th with Jeff Perkis in 9th. Dan Holland, who was contending for the top 3, drops to 10th. Bobby Thompson, after what looked like a stall at the start, finished 11th. Tom Delaney with the final corner drama dropped to 12th. Gavin Allen finishes 13th. Dave Newsham, more bad luck for him, 14th for him. Matthew Addy with an instant earlier on in the race finishes 15th. Lee Horn, a quiet night for him, even quieter in that one, 16th. And a retirement early on in the race, Ian Crosby, 17th, and a DNF. Well, what a night of racing. Definitely the best round of the season so far here at Lime Rock Park. Join us next week, 1 week from now. We'll be at Alton Park, a much narrower circuit, more corners and many slower corners. So it'll be a completely different ball game when we come to Alton Park in a week's time. But this has been Crest Autosport presenting the broadcast of this Legend Series to you today. You can get involved in the series by joining the Next Gen Racing Facebook group. Get in touch with Jamie Dory or any of the admins on there to get part of this league. There is also a GTE series running on Friday nights on iRacing, if you're interested in that as well. But if you're just here for the entertainment, thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe and like the channels that you are watching on. It's been fantastic racing tonight. We'll see you in a week's time for Alton Park. Thank you for watching the Next Gen Power Max Racing iRacing Legends series. Good night.